It's incredibly overwhelming to see so many people here. And when I was listening to the shiur, like all of you, a few moments ago, I was looking at the screen at the same time, and it was unbelievable. Trying to think how I'm going to describe this to my wife. And really, at the same time, I had this emotional tinge in my heart when I was about 16-year-old. I was in the middle of making decisions that Rabbi Tatz was talking about, and my parents sent me to see our rabbi, Rabbi Cyril Harris, and he was very significant in directing me and helping me make the right decisions. I felt both sad and happy. If he were able to see me here today, I don't think he would believe it. He spent most of my teenage years boxing my ears, if you remember Rabbi Harris. And it's an incredible honor. At the same time, as I was listening to the chief rabbi talk about this Mishnah, and very often when you have something you don't appreciate it, you need someone from the outside to come and tell you. If I was thinking of a Mishnah to describe your chief rabbi, then this is the Mishnah I would choose. It reflects him in every way, especially the subject that I want to speak about, Ha'emidu Talmidim Harbeh. And behind every chief rabbi is the chief rabbi's wife, but I'm sure you've seen his children running around organizing as well, so it seems to be the entire rabbinical family is behind this as well. And I need to thank him and his family for the honor and the welcome I always get when I come here. I also need to thank the Chipkin family who always look after me. I come here sometimes twice a year, and they always feed me and host me in the most incredible fashion. And I want to thank you. My students know that I don't like leaving Israel. I don't like leaving Israel at all. And one of the places I like going to is South Africa, specifically Johannesburg. I've been to Cape Town a few times too. Always so welcoming, so warm. And clearly, if you have such a wonderful chief rabbi, it must reflect you, because people get the leaders that they deserve. So it's an incredible thank you to you as well. And you deserve the applause, because I'm not sure whether any cross-section in the world could emulate what you are doing here this afternoon. It really is unparalleled, unbelievable. And now I will relate to my subject. Ha'emidu Talmidim Harbeh is a subject that covers so many different areas. But I want to refer to a specific area, and if I have time, maybe add a few more points. The Mishnah is telling us that Torah learning needs to be accessible to as many people as possible. There is a Rambam in Hilchot Talmud Torah, Perek Gimel, Halacha Aleph, and the Rambam is talking about the different crowns that are available in Judaism. He is relating to a Mishnah also in Avot, but a different Mishnah. And then he says the crown of Torah is set aside, waiting and ready for each Jew. The Torah which Moshe commanded us is the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob. Whoever desires may come and take it. Anyone can have the Torah. And when it comes to learning, the Torah is opposed to elitism. Learning the wisdom inherent in the Torah is free for all of us, and it is always available. Indeed, we are urged to become leaders and fulfill our potential in this world through knowledge and continual striving for truth. But when I first took this subject, I wanted to come to it from a slightly different angle. And if you bear with me, I want to go to the book of Judges, chapter 17. Peculiar story, a story that probably took place much earlier in the book of Shoftim, but is placed, for whatever reason, towards the end of the Sefer. And it's a story about a man called Michael or Micah. And this young lad, his mother has money stolen from her. She makes a curse. And then he tells his mother, I stole the money from you. And his mother turns around to him and she says, it's okay. And though he gives the money back, eventually she gets an idolater and builds an idol and builds a little Beit Avodah Zarah, an idolatrous house for her son. And he has this temple, Micah, with his pesel, with his idol, and he has people working in his temple. And then our Perek tells us as follows. ויינע מבית לחם יהודה ממשפחת יהודה והוא לוי והוא גר שם. So a man comes along who is a Levi. I won't go into all of the complex details in Mishpachat Yehuda and Levi. The Gemara deals with that. וילך האיש מהר בית לחם יהודה, and he leaves Beit Lechem לגור באשר ימצא, to go to live wherever he finds his place. ויבוא הר אפרים, and he comes to this temple of Micah, עד בית מיכה לעשות דרכו. ויאמר לו מיכה, Micah meets this man, this Levi, and he says, מאין תבוא? Where are you from? And he says, Levi anochi mi Beit Lechem Yehuda. I'm a Levi. I come from Beit Lechem in Yehuda. And I'm going to live wherever I find a place to live. Vayomer lo Micah. Micah says to him, okay, shva imadi. Come live with me. Ve'yeh li la'av u'lechohen, and I'll give you a job. You can be the Kohen of my little temple, my little idolatrous place. And he pays him. And then the next pasuk, Yud Aleph, Vayoel Levi, which is a very significant, Vayoel HaLevi, a very significant use of the word Vayoel. And the Levi sits there. And that's the story. In the next Perek, there's a problem with Shevet Dan, and the Levi ends up accompanying Shevet Dan to their new abode up north in Israel. And at the end of the next chapter, this Levi is identified. And this is his name. V'yakimu lahem b'nei Dan et ha'pesel. They established the pesel. And what was the name of the Levi? V'Yohonatan ben Gershom ben Menashe. That was his name. Yohonatan ben Gershom ben Menashe. That was his name. The Gemara in Bava Batra Daf Kuftet Amud Bet identifies who this person is. He says it's the grandson of Moshe Rabbeinu, which fits in with the word Vayoel, which is Vayoel Moshe when he stays by Yitro, and it explains a number of midrashim at the place. The grandson of Moshe Rabbeinu was an idolater. How can that be? The greatest man ever to live, who spoke to God, panim el panim, who brought us the Torah, who had nevuah of aspeklaria hameira, he had absolute objective nevuah. His grandson was an idolater. And in order to protect Moshe Rabbeinu, he's named Menashe, with a nun hanging, but Chazal identified it as being Moshe. And when I first saw this, came to mind something else, because we have no indication that Gershom wasn't a frum young man, Moshe's son. And we know that Moshe's father was a religious man, a believer. And we have a medrash in Tehillim which says, Mishu chacham, someone who is wise, uveno chacham, and his son is wise, uben beno chacham, and his grandson is wise, mikam ve'elech haTorah chozeret la'achsania shela. From here onwards, there will always be Torah. They have a chazakah, they have a proof in the family, 3 people, there will always be Torah in that family. And we have another pasuk in Kohelet. Hachut hameshulash lo b'meheira yinatek. So how can that be? Moshe Rabbeinu, the greatest leader, the great leader, his grandson, but there are 3 generations. How can that be? And I found a perush of the Rashbetz in a sefer called Magen Avot. And the Rashbetz, when he learns from the Pasuk in Kohelet, he says, Lo b'meheira yenatek. It will not be severed quickly. Aval eina Yerusha lecha. But Torah is not an inheritance. She'maita Yerusha, had it been an inheritance, Haita Moshe morisha lezaro ad sof hadorot. Moshe would have passed it on to all the generations forever. But it isn't an inheritance. Each day I've been looking and adding a piece here and there. And just this afternoon, I was thinking of a story I heard regarding the Kotzker Rebbe. Kotzker Rebbe, a very special man, a unique man. The Kotzker Rebbe was a Talmud of Reb Simcha Bunim, a Talmud Chaver of Reb Simcha Bunim, and he was a Talmud of the Yehudi HaKadosh, the Holy Yid. And the Kotzker Rebbe had a Beis Midrash that it seems to reflect the Beit Midrash that used to exist with Rabban Gamliel before Rabban Gamliel was removed in the 4th Perek of Brachot because of the way he spoke to one of his Talmidim. He was removed temporarily. But Rabban Gamliel wanted a Beit Midrash where people were tocho kavaro, where people were on the outside what they are on the inside. It's a very hard thing to be. That your thoughts be your actions, that your thoughts be your words. And the Kotzker Rebbe, as much as I understand of the Kotzker Rebbe, very much wanted people who were tocho kavaro. He wanted people to come and lihitmoded, to challenge themselves, to deal with themselves, not to run to the Rebbe. That wasn't his way. He left the Chozeh Milublin. It was a way of Pshischa, a totally different sect of Chassidut that really doesn't exist so much because his successor, the Gera Rebbe, moved slightly further towards Polish Chassidut in general. And it happened on one occasion, so the story says, that the Kotzker Rebbe's in the Beis Midrash, and the grandson, or the son, I'm not sure, of the Yehudi HaKadosh walks in beautiful clothing, in a lovely hat, a kapota. He looks like a melech. And he's standing in the middle of the Kotzker Rebbe's Beis Midrash. And everyone's walking past him like he doesn't exist. And he's getting more and more annoyed. And the Kotzker Rebbe sees him, and I presume he knew who he was. And he approaches him and he says, who are you? And he says, you don't know who I am? He says, I'm the son of the Yehudi HaKadosh. And the Kotzker Rebbe says, I didn't ask who your father was. I asked who you are. And that story of the Kotzker Rebbe actually happened to me. I run a small girls' school in the old city of Jerusalem. And every so often, we don't accept certain students. We don't think they can do our program or it's not suitable. And every so often, someone phones to tell us why it is suitable. And every so often, we say it isn't. It goes backwards and forwards, either way. And on one occasion, there was a specific student who had been interviewed a number of times, and we didn't think she was relevant. And I started getting phone calls. Now, anyone who knows me knows that I'm not a diplomat at all. At all. I make the mess. All the people around me clear it up. And I got phone call after phone call after phone call regarding the family. And I finally got a phone call from a Chaver Knesset. And the Chaver Knesset was getting angry with me on the phone. And he said to me, do you not understand who this girl's grandfather is? And I was getting equally upset. So I turned to the Chaver Knesset and I said, you know what, you've convinced me. Her grandfather can come tomorrow, just make sure he wears a skirt. So someone else cleared that mess up. But I've emphasized the negative side, which is Ein Yerusha. But there's a flip side to that. Just as the Torah cannot be inherited, it means that it's up for grabs for anyone, for everyone. The Gemara in Gittin, Daf Nun Vav Amud Aleph, speaks about Neron Kesar, who was a potential destroyer of the Beit Mikdash. He discovers what's going to happen, that he's going to succeed, but he also discovers that there's a prophecy about what's going to happen to the man that destroys the Beit Mikdash, and he runs away. And the Gemara tells us that his descendant was Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir was his descendant. One of our greatest Tanaim was his descendant. So on the one hand, you can't inherit Torah. It doesn't matter who your father was. On the other hand, it doesn't matter who your father was or your mother was, because every single person can inherit Torah. Every single one of us can inherit Torah. I was looking through Tehillim on one occasion, and I noticed a perek that we say all the time: Beit Yisrael baruchu et Hashem, Beit Aharon baruchu et Hashem, Beit HaLevi baruchu et Hashem. There's a certain hierarchy of Beit Yisrael, of Beit Aharon, of Beit HaLevi. But what is the climax of the verse? Yirei Hashem baruchu et Hashem. And this theme is so much confirmed by a Mishnah in Horayot. Those who fear God, they're top of the list. It doesn't matter whether you're a Kohen, a Levi. It doesn't matter who your father was, who your mother was. Yirei Hashem, those who fear God, they are the top of the list. And if that's what I thought was perhaps a way to explain those words in Tehillim, then the Mishnah in Horayot says the same thing. In Horayot, Perek Gimel, Mishnah Chet, we're told that the Kohen is before the Levi. We're told that the Levi is before the Yisrael, and the list goes on. But then there is a qualification. And what is the qualification? Eimatai. When does that hierarchy exist? Shekulan shavin, if they're all the same. But if he was an illegitimate child, but he was a Talmid Chacham, and there's a Kohen Gadol Am Haaretz, Mamzer Talmid Chacham Kodem LeKohen Gadol Am Haaretz. Those are the words. This most illegitimate of children who becomes a Talmid Chacham, he is more elevated than a Kohen Gadol who knows nothing. Just because he was born a Kohen and he got the job, he's nothing compared to this Talmid Chacham who comes from nowhere, who has no family. And then I was remembered of one more source before I move on. Every day, 3 times a day, we say the Amidah. Every day we say Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Ve'elokei Yaakov. And the Eitz Yosef, commentator in Otzar HaTfilot, reads as follows: Ma she'omrim gimel pe'amim Elokei. Why does it say 3 times Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov? Hayasagi bepam echad. You could have said it once. Loma Elokei Avraham, Yitzchak, ve'Yaakov. Say it once. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It doesn't say the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. Hu al dat shematzinu. But it's written this way. Da'amad David livno. David said to his son, it's a pasuk in Divrei Hayamim Bet, Ve'ata Shlomo beni. You, my son, Shlomo, know. Da et Elokei avicha va'avdehu. You have to know God, and you have to know the God of your father, and you have to serve him. V'haperush pashut. And the explanation is obvious. She'ein la'adam lahamin be'eloah mitzad minhag avotav. A person cannot believe in God because his father did. Ki ze minhag umot ha'olam. That's not our belief. That's not our tradition. Ele mitzad chakira. But a person studies. Al pi Toratenu hakdusha. And a person studies Torah, and they are able to derive the fact Shehu el haborei barach v'yitaleh shemo, that God is the God, God is the creator. V'lakach hamad da et Elokei avicha. So David says to Shlomo, you have to know. You can't rely on me. You have to know that God is your God. Mitzad hachakira, through your research. V'hu hodia elahuto ba'olam. And that says Eitz Yosef, Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov. Someone once came up to me and they said to me, I wasn't particularly happy about what they said, and I tried to find a good English cynical reaction that wouldn't be understood by anyone. No one in Israel understands English humor. Some people in South Africa understand it. It's one of my big sacrifices when I made Aliyah, is laughing with myself for most of the time. And the person came up to me and said, I heard such and such a rabbi, he's gone off the track. His son's gone off the track. His son's not a from kid. And I said, you know what? I also know a very important Jew like that. He said, who? I said, Avraham Avinu. He had a son who went off the tracks. I said, also, I think Yitzchak's son went off the tracks. And there I burnt another bridge, lost another friend. But Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov is to tell us that Yitzchak is not Yitzchak because he is the son of Avraham. He is Yitzchak in his own right, and Yaakov is the same. And I have to share with you a different story. A number of years ago, my son was in a yeshiva that the community works with a bit, Makor Chaim, Tichon Yeshiva in Gush Etzion, under Rav Dov Zinger, a wonderful man. And they have this Shabbat for the parents of the kids. I'm sure you do these things. The teachers don't want to do it, the parents don't want to do it, the kids don't want to do it, but we have to do it. And I went for this Shabbat. Now, take me out on Friday night is a very difficult thing to get me out of the house, but my wife got me out of the house, and we went there for Shabbat. Luckily, we were able to walk there and walk back. I didn't have to stay in the yeshiva. And the particular rabbi hadn't really prepared something for the evening, so he did whatever people do when they don't prepare for the evening. There's a group of like 40 parents sitting in a circle, and he says, well, we're really interested to hear where each of your parents' came from. I was really interested to hear. I was really interested to hear where my son's friends' parents' came from. And my son is looking at me. I don't know whether there are any fathers like me, but I get tremendous benefit out of embarrassing my children. I really love it. I love embarrassing my children. It's such fun. And they know I love it. And they're looking at me and they can see there's trouble coming because I've got a bit of a lobber's face. And we're going around in a circle. Now, I'm last in the circle, and my son is sitting there going, no. He's doing this for 40 minutes. And we had people there who were related to the Balatanya, people who were related to the Gra, and I'm making my comments, you must get on. I'm making my comments all the time to them. And then they come to me. And I don't have any yichus at all. No yichus. So what am I going to do? So I'm in a win-win situation because no one's listening. They don't understand my humor. My son knows what I'm going to do, so I'm not going to get in trouble. My wife knows what I'm going to do, so I'm not going to get in trouble. So I had to do the predictable. So my father and my mother, I would never in my life want other parents. They were the most wonderful parents, are the most wonderful parents. They've given me the tools to struggle with life, to deal with life, and I'm constantly thankful for the bracha of my parents. But what can I tell you? My dad's an Englishman. Not an Englishman, a Cockney Englishman, and come from East London with a nice accent, and we're English. Now, his grandfather came from Biala, and his mother came from Odessa. So that's a regular yid, right? It's a couple of generations back, you go into Europe. My mother comes from Gibraltar. I'm not going to test your geographical knowledge, because if she didn't come from Gibraltar, I wouldn't know where Gibraltar is. But Gibraltar is in the bottom of Spain. But it's a very special place because Gibraltar, the Straits of Gibraltar differentiate between the Atlantic and the Mediterranean. So according to some poskim, it's the only place in the world you can make the bracha about Yom HaGadol because there's a suffix and there's a suffix brachas. But if you're standing in the Straits of Gibraltar, you see them both and you can make the bracha. That's my yichus. So we get round to me, and I need to build up the joke that no one's going to understand. So I'm building it up, from Shokel. We're not sure, maybe not 100%, but some people say that if you check our family list, I'm directly related to Noach. Yeah, that was about the laugh I got then. And my son is nodding, but now I've got the cream on top of the cake to come. And my mum comes from Jamaica. Because she does. She was born in Jamaica because during the war, they evacuated the women and children from Gibraltar because they were afraid the Germans were going to attack Gibraltar. Important strategic place. And my grandmother, Aliyah Shalom, was sent to Jamaica. My mum was born in Jamaica. That is an awkward conversation stopper, always. I've often asked my mum, we go to Poland to visit relatives and see the past. I said, why don't we go to Jamaica, go and see the beach, see what it was like in Jamaica, see where our relatives came from. But I want to tell you something. I suppose if you're a psychologist, and there are probably many in the room, you're probably thinking, he only thinks this way because he has no yichus. If he had yichus, he would think that, but I don't. I don't think so, but you can check me afterwards. But what did I say to myself? So you've got no yichus. So you make the yichus. So you start. It's got to start somewhere. So you start. It's in my hands to do. And every single person in this room, I can tell you with a lev patuach, that every person in this room, if I am where I am, and I don't know where I am, but wherever I am, you can be there too. Because there is no Yerusha to Torah. And when I remember what the English and South African boys were like 30 years ago in the Shivat Har Etzion, where they had to set up special shiurim for us. And we put our heads down, and we learned day and night, and we passed smicha in the chief rabbinate of Israel with people who'd been in yeshiva all their lives, because we sat and we learned. And if a person here in this room right now is thinking, I can't, I want to tell you one other story. About 18 years ago, I had this little Scottish student who could not wake up in the morning. She couldn't wake up in the morning. I can't do a very good Scottish accent, but she had a makom kavor in my office. Our shiurim started about 8:30. Every day, 9:15, she would sit opposite me in my office and say in her little Scottish accent, I can't. And then she said, my mum knows I can't. My dad knows I can't get up in the morning. And I tried to talk her into it. No, I can't. And she's a good girl, but she says, I can't get up in the morning. This was a Bnei Akiva group, and they used to go to kibbutz, Pesach time. So I know kibbutz, because I lived on kibbutz for a while, and I also worked with the cows on kibbutz. Now a cow, just for a bit of agricultural information, a cow in Israel at least is milked every 8 hours. And she has to be milked every 8 hours because she produces milk in relation to what's taken from her. And it's painful. The cows are walking towards the milking shed because they're bursting. That's the reason you can essentially milk a cow on Shabbat. Tzar Bali Chai. But I know that you milk a cow every 8 hours. And I know that generally on kibbutz, they milk a cow at 8 o'clock at night is the first milking. The first milking is 8 o'clock at night. And I go to see the students. They were delighted to see me. I go to see them on the kibbutz. I sit them in a circle. And I asked them, so what each and every one of you doing now? In kibbutz, if you ever happen to be in kibbutz, working in the refet's a good job. It's a prestigious job. You might not imagine so here right now, but it is a very prestigious job. And the kibbutz, Ma'ale Gilboa, that I lived on, it was extremely prestigious. It was one of the great cow factories of the country at the time. And I'm going around one by one. This one's working in the kitchen. This one's working in Gan Yeladim. And I get to this little Scot. And she says proudly, I'm in the refet. I'm in the cow shed. So I was on my heels and I was quick to the point and I said to her, tell me, when's the first milking? She says, it's 8 o'clock at night. So I said, so the second milking must be at 4 in the morning, right? She says, yeah. So I said, but you can't. You can't. Your mum says you can't. Your dad says you can't. You can't. And she looks at me, what we call checkmate, and took the point. I can't remember what happened when she came back, but so many times when we say we can't, it's we won't. And you think every time you say you can't, it's I won't. So you can. You're here this afternoon. You can. You've done it this afternoon. Incredible sight. But where do you go from here? Onwards, forwards, you can finish. Just thinking when there's going to be a siyum of Pirkei Avot, when this program of 101 goes to the end, there'll be a siyum here with twice the amount of people here. Incredible. Of course you can. Every profession you're in, you do and you excel in, and you can excel in Torah. It is in your hands, totally in your hands. If you have the determination to do it, you can do it. Eina Yerusha, it's not an inheritance. No person, wherever you start, You can reach the heights, and there are no greater heights than the heights of Torah. And that is, I think, the message. I don't have much more time, so I have to leave you with that message. And the message which is best summarized in the Gemara in Megillah, Daf Vav Amud Beit, where the Gemara says, if someone says to me, Yagati velo matzati, I tried and I didn't find, al ta'amin, don't believe them. If they say to you, lo yagati, I didn't try and it came to me, don't believe them. If someone says, Yagati umatzati ta'amin, if you try, you will succeed. Thank you very much.